And welcome back. I am Bahamut, your caster, and here we go into our second matchup of the evening. On the left-hand side, we have Team Lizhorn, and on the right-hand side, we have TireFirePyre, which that's going to be fun to say all game. All right, so going into Brax's holdout in our first matchup here. First ban going to be going over to TireFirePyre. Now, Brax's holdout being a two-lane map where you have to fight over these control points. I guess you could call them standardized picks, are not so standard. I'm seeing a Gazlo hover at this point, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a bait. Typically, we see a lot of people like Genji being banned out here. A lot of team fighty comps, so like things like Uther, Ariel, those seem to be a priority. Rhaegar's a priority as well. Arthas is extremely strong on this map. Dahaka has his place, I think, as well as a solo laner. Greymane's extremely powerful, but we're actually legitimately going to have a Gazlo ban here. So I think this is the first Gazlo ban I've ever casted, to be honest. Or actually this is the first cast I've had a Gazlo ban. There we go. All right, so then on the left-hand side, Team Lizhorn, what do they respond with? A Gazlo ban is just, it's not so much a throwaway ban. Like, Gazlo has his place on this map, and a strong team with it can be dominating. Because as I was saying, this map isn't really so standard. You have to fight over these control points, and there are other maps where you have to fight over points like this, but with it being a two-lane map and the rotations being so short, things like Falstad, those become really big threats because he can literally rotate through the map very easily. And then Genji becomes a threat as well because of the fact of his mobility through those walls. He can rotate up to the boss. But they're going to go ahead and ban out Stukov on the side of Team Lizhorn. Stukov having a really interesting place here because of the fact that the silence is so strong when you're fighting over these control points. And it really tends to zone people out. And so if you're trying to capture it, you've got the creepy hand sitting there just zoning you away. That's just so hard to deal with. So at the same time, I wouldn't be too surprised to see TireFirePyre picking up something like a Genji or some sort of Dahaka, or I don't think Falstad first pick, but I definitely think that they're going to want to either have that threat. Uther is available, and so is Genji. I just think the Dahaka is extremely strong here. So they're going to go ahead and actually get the Dahaka. And the reason that I'm talking... Oops, I punched my mic. The reason the Dahaka is so strong is because of the fact that he does provide a really, really strong solo lane. And you don't... it's not... He's not impossible to lane against, but he's just... You're setting yourself up off the bat, so it's like, this is a little difficult. But at the same time, that also means that they're locking a Dahaka, so they're going to be locking a secondary tank. Now, with that... They do have this 1-2 pick. They could go ahead and lock in a Greymane. The Curse Bullet is extremely strong. Even though it got nerfed a little bit, it's still strong. It's still chunking health. And in a team fight situation, that could be really strong. But they're going to go ahead and actually roll the Kael'thas Stitches combo. Kael'thas providing a lot of damage and clear for these Zerg waves when they're approaching your gate, as well as the Stitches comboing well with that, with the hook into the Whirlwind with his, the KT combo. So that's a interesting first two pickups here. Now the Greymane I was really focusing on because he's a strong solo laner. He provides a lot of good melee damage in a fight. I would not be too surprised to see him either being picked up or banned out. Picked up by Lizhorn, more so banned by TireFirePyre probably. They can pick it up themselves right here, but in my opinion, for the bottom lane, picking up maybe a Gul'dan and an Ariel here would synergize very well. They're going to need a wave clear up against that Kael'thas. They're going to need poke damage, and I think the Gul'dan offers that exactly. The Ariel stacks on top of that very well because they don't need to worry about the healer mana bar. So that's the way that I would be taking this, but they're actually going to go for the Sylvanas and the Rhaegar. Now, the Rhaegar works... The reason I was saying Ariel, just because you run that duo together, they're going to be in bottom lane together, so they're going to be, that's just an easy combination to run. Now, the Rhaegar and the Sylvanas is actually quite interesting. They're creating So the chain heal from Rhaegar is going to be really good while they're pushing up with the Sylvanas who can lock down the tower. So they're going to get more value out of that Zerg wave. But the question is, will they be able to charge up enough for that Zerg wave? But regardless, we will figure that out as the draft continues. But we do have... Alright, so we have our second ban phase here. They have a healer, a strong healer on the set of TireFirePyre. They don't have a lot of damage, so maybe banning something out like the Gul'dan if they're not going to take it, or the Greymane if they're not going to take it. Those would be two strong bans here. They're actually going to go ahead and ban out the Chromie. She does provide a lot of artillery into that back line, and that can hinder the... Excuse me, the Kael'thas very... that can just hinder him quite hard, honestly. So that is not a bad first pickup here on the side of... It's not a bad ban. But they're going to be hovering the Ariel here, and the reason they're doing that is because it looks like... Well, actually... No, I would ban the Uther over the Ariel, actually. They currently don't have a solo laner in top. To be honest, it would either be Greymane or Uther at this point. Those are the two people that I'd be hovering for for ban. Because one, I've already kind of spoken to the merit of Greymane, so let me get to Uther. Uther has the post-death healing, so if they do get a kill, great. But you still have healing from the Ghost Uther. You have Redemption at 20. Then you also have the stun that combos well with the Stitches. So I don't particularly agree with the Ariel. Granted, they could be going and banning out some sort of Ariel-Vala combination that might be there. Now, there has been some focus onto a Tassadar-Lunara combination, but that would mean that they're going to need... Well, honestly, they could just go with that double healer. That wouldn't be too bad. They can still lock in that Uther. They're just going to be... They're going to have a lot of range. They won't have enough melee, so I don't think that's the route they would end up going, actually. I still think it's honestly going to be that Greymane with an Uther. That combination is just so strong. But they're actually going to go for the Vala. And Malthael, actually. So does that mean they're going to do their Malthael as a solo laner in top? Up against the Dahaka? Because that's going to be a little difficult, I think. Dahaka is a pretty good target for him to lane against because of this percentile health. That's interesting. They still need a healer, though. Either way. But on the side of TireFirePyre, so they have a strong healer, they have good lane push, and they have their top lane as well as a global threat. So they're going to still need to lock in another tank as well as probably their hyper carry. So, they have wave. They don't really have a ton of wave clear. I'm honestly thinking it's going to be Arthas and... I keep saying Greymane, but you know, it could be Alarak as well. I still think the Greymane would be strong, but they're actually going to go for the Sonya and the Falstead here. So they're going to do the double global threat. Their team is a little bit weaker. The Sylvanas should be getting value so long as they're not going to get basically killed. That's their really thing. I don't know if this is... I don't know how I feel about this comp, but we'll see. These guys, I mean, this is Division 1. These guys do know a little bit more. I mean, they play a little bit better than I do. This last pickup here, Stukov's banned out, Ariel's banned out. I don't see it being anything but an Uther. I mean, he's open. He combos well with the Stitches, the Kael'thas, the Vala. The D-Storm, if you want to combo that into a Malthael, that's going to be extremely powerful. The Tormented Souls and a D-Storm. They're going to go ahead and get the Malfurion. The Twilight Dream does provide the silence, so it is harder for people to get away, but I was just thinking, I think the heals from an Uther might be a little bit stronger, but we'll see how that plays out. Have a couple people locking in their heroic choices. into this first game, we go Team Lizhorn versus TireFirePyre. On the left-hand side, we have Team Lizhorn with Reinrad on Malthael, Paradox on Stitches, Walljumper on Vala, The Wade on Malfurion, and Machiavel on Kael'thas. On the right-hand side, we have TireFirePyre. I am not going to get tired of saying that name. We have Aura Storm on Sylvanas, Pink Chocobo on Rhaegar, Be the on Sonya, maybe Beat the Beat on Sonya? That could be it. Frostini. Sorry, excuse me. On Dahaka and Voracity on Falstead. So this is going to be interesting. The double global is going to be really, really hard to go up against. You can swap out these heroes if you do have... let's say it's the Malthael on the top lane. I'm going to assume it will be. Dahaka can maybe get him a little bit low. Or Falstead, you never know. They could put the Falstead on top. And then just have one of them, you know, quickly burrow or fly top. You get a flank, you go into the Malthael, and then now you've got that top lane pressure cleared out. But at the same time, he does percentile health, so it's just... I don't play enough Malthael, as well as I haven't seen him played enough to really kind of sit there and like watch him and pick him apart. It's... We're actually going to have Convection right out the gate from the Kael'thas, so you can expect him to be in that bottom lane, as we see on the mini-map. And this is actually interesting. Looks like we have, we're doing reverse. We're going to have the 4-man in top and the Sonya in bottom.
4, 3, 2, 1. Facility
but
online.
At this point, we do have the game starting. Looks like Team Lizhorn will be going in through that side. So they're going to go ahead and spread out, and they're going to just try and get vision on see who's going where. Looks like at this top lane, they're going to go ahead and cheese out this tower with the Sylvanas, get a little bit of experience bump. It's like a third of the bar, but still the huge damage onto the Rhaegar, but he actually will be able just to barely make it out. Falstead will be flying bottom currently. I hope that's Sonya. He actually went into the mage build, so it might have been better for him to stay in top lane because of the fact that he would have been stacking those mage hammers off of 4 members rather than, well, technically 5 members at this point, rather than the 2. But at the same time, we do have them currently pushing into bottom quite hard with that Dahaka and that Falstead. And these guys are forcing rotations and just controlling this map right out the gate. About a half a level lead already. I'm going to try and jump in between top and mid because it looks like these guys are going to be all over the place all game. Also, we do have a dive from the Greymane. Okay, not the Greymane, the Rhaegar. Excuse me. But at this point, we should have the beacon starting up quite soon. Now, with the Sonya rotating back up the top and early being 2 in bottom, this looks like it's going to be this gate pushed in quite hard by 4 of the members here. And at the same time, in the top lane, do we have a response? Unfortunately, no. It looks like the Sylvanas and the Rhaegar will have to rotate down. So they did get an early 2 towers, but at the same time, Team Lizhorn really got about half their gate down in this bottom, and I believe the first one should be... Ooh, this is actually a really good hook onto the Rhaegar. He does take quite a bit of damage. They get a pull onto the Malfurion, so that's going to be him falling. And that's exactly when the beacons are just about to start. He will be spawning out, so they should be able to capture this bottom and potentially the top. I don't know how this laning matchup is going. It looks like Sonya is dominating the top lane right now, so they go ahead and on the side of TireFirePyre, they get the bottom beacon. Looks like Team Lizhorn gets top. They're going to go ahead and start fighting over this. Now, Falstead did go back to get full mana. Looks like Dahaka will interrupt it for a couple seconds. He does have to pop his essence. They will get the full charge. Falstead actually does fly into top lane. They might get that kill on the Malthael, but the Vala will be dying in bottom lane currently. They get the hook onto the Rhaegar, who will be falling in a... It's a counter kill. The Dahaka he doesn't take that extra flame strike damage, so he will be able to get out of here. It looks like Sonya does stop the charge at about 48% by getting that top, and it looks like they will be pushing in as the Malthael is rotating back in. I believe he had to go back for mana and or health. So out of this, we are seeing the Kael'thas already at 8 stacks of his Convection. Dahaka holding his 4 talent still. Maybe he has to check his hot slugs first. These guys are way better. They're not checking hot slugs. They probably know what they're actually picking, but it's always fun just to make that small joke. Now, we do have the rest of the team. Ooh, we do have the Rhaegar getting pulled in, but they will go ahead and looks like they're going to go ahead and capture this. Now, the Dahaka is getting caught out here. He does not have any essence, it appears. He does have the burrow. The chain bomb does go onto him. He will be getting healed up by the Rhaegar. They do get the kill onto the Stitches. Now, this is... With that Dahaka so low, they barely just got that last second healing to get rid of the poison damage, it seemed like. But holy crap, that was a really good pick onto the Stitches. At the same time, Team Lizhorn, with their tank down, they are still doing a really, really good job of making sure that they're not aggressing too hard onto this point. They're going to get it back right away. And the one thing I want to keep checking in on is the convection stacks. I also want to note this. Thank you, Blizzard, for finally adding this number onto this chart right here, because it was never there before, I don't think. And it's nice to actually see Gathering Storm stacks too. In top lane, we do have the Dahaka going up against the Malthael, who looks like he's going to try and capture this back, do a little bit of damage, but at the same time, in bottom lane, we are having this aggressive push. Now, Falstad does go ahead, gets this almost all the way over, does fly up into this Malthael, and he will be dying. So at the same time, they do not get the charge on the side of TireFirePyre, but they do get the kill onto the Malthael. Now in bottom, Team Lizhorn is pushing onto this fort extremely hard, as well as TireFirePyre is doing the same thing in top. But unfortunately for TireFirePyre, they only have a 12% charge on their Zerg wave currently. So Team Lizhorn, if the Zerg were to come out the gate right now, they would be the winners, you could say, or they would benefit most from the objective currently. Now we do have a flank, it looks like, coming in from the team. Sonya is finishing up this camp, so it will ping that she is there. So they do know that they have someone on there just coming in from that direction. She does rotate quite a long ways around. They chased away this Falstad. Now, the top is gotten by Team Lizhorn, but at the same time, TireFirePyre will go ahead, capture the bottom, and control that lane a little bit more since the rest of the four-man is in top. Sonya did try and capture this back a little bit, trying to get that 12% a little bit higher, but unfortunately, Team Lizhorn is going to be controlling this lane, and it looks like they're going to start working on this gate. Falstad just... The hook missing the Falstad, that would have been just a termination at that point. We do have the Dahaka getting onto this Malthael, who's just going to be... It looks like he's harassing, but we do have this sneak from the Rhaegar, who looks like it won't be scouted out. He's standing right on that edge. He's ready to get out of there as quick as possible. There is a hook, I believe, but it will be dodged right away. So they get another 10% onto their... Zerg wave as well. Dahaka coming up here now. It's only the Malthael and the Sonya in bottom currently. Falstad should have fly. It's a little bit of an advantage on the side of TireFirePyre for experience, but it doesn't mean like they're going to get 10s anytime soon. Unfortunately, though, that is the Malfurion currently falling. Do we see the Vala walking away with just a sliver of health? And that is, oh my god, just an itty-bitty amount of health. But this will be top being held over by TireFirePyre. So bottom being rotated in. Ryan Rad getting a little bit low, but he is playing by his gates. Looks like Falstad could potentially get this kill onto the Stitches. He is body blocking him, I believe. And that is going to be the charge going over to TireFirePyre. Looks like Vala is working back that minion wave, but at this point, with the Zerg wave starting in top, they're going to go ahead and say, the Zerg wave can do what we want it to do, or at least you guys can stop it in top, and we're going to go ahead and get another fort. So it looks like TireFirePyre taking a strong lead at the start of this game. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and get the two forts down right away. Take out that side wall. You got to do that reconstruction all the time. And look, Team Lizhorn will try and do the same, but they want to play extremely safe because there is a rotation coming out from TireFirePyre. Stitches will get locked down here. He's not going to be able to move. The leap from the Sonya onto the Stitches, that will be the kill. There is the the Wailing Arrow onto many of the members. It looks like there's a gust to separate the Malfurion from the team. The Wade does not have a way out of this. That will be the Malthael killed. The Kael'thas killed. And did Kael'thas finish his stacks? He did not. And that's actually the Zerg wave going over to TireFirePyre. Now, Team Lizhorn does have a 50% Zerg wave, so that does mean that there is one Ultralisk pushing that bottom lane, but that also will be the Malfurion dying once again, I believe? No, he was gusted into the corner. But they're going to go ahead, give this up, and push in with the Zerg Wave. They're going to take out the gate and try and get as much value of those Banelings as possible before they hit it, and just kind of melt the gate for, with just, acid damage. But it looks like the Kael'thas will be able to kill some of them. They do get the Phoenix out, which will start to kind of zone some of these people either in or out. Ancestral does come out onto the Dahaka, but the Tormented Souls is here onto 3 of the members, is chunking down some of them. Poison damage is too much, and it looks like Rhaegar will be falling. There's a hook onto the Sonya, who is getting slowed. The Dahaka also died as well. There's the body blocks, and it looks like this should be the fall from Sonya. Now, in bottom lane, I do want to note the Falstad did go back. He is currently pushing this back. They did not lose too much in this from this, just letting that push the bottom lane. I believe their fort was already dead, so they might have just gotten some cannon shots that were knocked out. But Team Lizhorn going to go ahead and take this advantage. Some of the members are just popping back up, and they do need to keep in mind that there are 2 globals. So, Falstad is here. Dahaka does have a burrow. He could be coming into this bottom bush back here for a huge flank. The Rhaegar is in position, but Sonya is only just coming up. So they're going to have to play this safe until they have their Sonya in the position they need. It looks like there will be a disengage from Team Lizhorn. Now, Dahaka did pop up. They didn't go for the stitches, unfortunately. Kael'thas getting a couple more onto his convection stats. They are chasing a little bit here, but while they do that, let's take a quick peek at some of these talents. So it looks like they're just going to go ahead and realistically disengage and go for some camps. Scratch that, actually. This is a really aggressive from the side of TireFirePyre. Stitches looks like he wants to check it out, but he has no health. Unfortunately, he gets the hook onto the Sonya, who ends up leaping onto 3 of the members. They end up getting the Wailing Arrow onto 2 of them. The spin is there. Do they get the kill onto the Stitches? They do. The Phoenix does come out from the Kael'thas, but the Sonya will be able to get away with about 1/3 of her health, so that is going to be the camp stolen away by TireFirePyre. Looks like Falstad will be flying into that bottom lane to push that up. Probably going to be going ahead and getting one of those camps as well. Sonya will be getting the siege camp on the bottom left-hand side, and this is just an extreme amount of aggression and pressure from TireFirePyre. I was kind of poo-pooing on them not having like a solid tank and running these kind of double bruiser, Sylvanish push with the Falstad as well as the Rhaegar, but it seems to be working out for them. This aggressiveness is really, really hard to handle, I think, by Team Lizhorn, as well as they've got really, really good map control at this point on the side of TireFirePyre.
They'll be active soon.
Okay. Whew. Well, I had a couple seconds. I had to get some water in me. So Kael'thas is only at 7 of his convection stacks, but we do have a hook on the Falstad, who will have the barrel roll right out. We do have the oh my god, the Ancestral does come out onto the Joanna, but there is the leap to disengage completely. Now, at the same time, Malthael did get the Tormented Souls out, getting tons of damage onto a few of those members. There is a chase currently that's happening. The Sylvanas will be able to Hunting Wave out, but there is the multi-shot and the Hungering Arrow from Vala on that kill. Now, the beacons have spawned. There is 34% on the side of TireFirePyre. They also have this siege camp pushing up in top, which will be going up against that heap. Looks like there is the Kael'thas going back, and this is going to be the charge going over to Team Lizhorn. Now, there is a hook that does come out, does not connect. Falstad does barrel roll in for an aggressive engagement onto the Stitches. He will have to back up near his bruisery tank, Dahaka. But it looks like they go ahead and stop this at about 46% for Team Lizhorn. They've got 34 themselves, but do they go? The Stitches does see this. Looks like he will just completely walk away. He's going to say that I don't have my team, I don't have my follow, I don't have my Malfurion, so can't go on this just yet. Now, there is the Sonya who is on this point. The Malthael will chase her off, but will she go back in? There's the Stitches hiding out. The Malfurion is there. We do have Vala hovering in the backline as well. Dahaka does have a burrow. They end up getting the minion pull, so they do end up showing, and a lot of the team of TireFirePyre disengage here. They're gonna play this really safe. They're probably gonna see some of the members going in for this pick onto the Falstad, but I believe he should have. Yeah, he has Gust. Oh no, they're not gonna be going for it. Okay, it looked like they were gonna go for an engagement on him, but it does not happen. But this is going to be traded back over. So in the meantime, while we have these rotations coming out in some of these camps, and a lot of these bushing moments. Let's take some look at some of these damage numbers as well. We have 81,000 out of this Falstad, which is amazing. 93 from the Vala. Sylvanas doing 38,000 damage in hero damage. It's just crazy. But anyways, we do have a burrow. So Dahaka comes up here. I wonder if they wanted to cue the noise, but oh, there is the jump from the leap from the Sonya, and that does get the Kael'thas kill. There is a huge Wailing Arrow out onto the 3 of the members. They do get the Malthael as well. Now Furion does have his Twilight Dream, but unfortunately he will not be able to use it. The Vala does get gusted back, and she will be confirmed as well, and that is going to be a triple kill. They get the beacon. Dahaka, I think, was chasing them away. They probably will not be going on to this one. They're going to let this get full. And it looks like they're going to also go ahead and get this Bruiser Camp to be pushing up in the top lane while the Zerg is pushing in bottom with the Falstad and the Sonya, I believe. So they're going to try and go for a double keep here, I believe. So it looks like they just sent the Falstad, actually, just to push up the wave, make sure they soak up that experience. The 16s are hit on the side of TireFirePyre. Team Lizhorn does need to play a little bit safe here, make sure that they stay under that tower. They're not going to get too much damage. This Sylvanas does get the lockdown onto the tower. It is taking a little bit here, but they're going to go ahead and rotate into the Zerg wave currently. Falstad is pushing in this gate quite well with the minion wave also. It is a hammering that does go out, but Kael'thas is putting out so much damage at this point. It's 48 stacks on the hammering, but at the same time, that Kael'thas is doing a lot of damage with those flame strikes. Excuse me. Dahaka does use his Tunneling Claws to get out of that right there. Malthael does give his Haunted Wave onto him. Sonya does end up leaping in. There is a ton of damage going out onto the Malthael. He will be dying. Stitches does get in with the Putrid Bile, trying to get a bunch of damage out, but it will not be working out. Fortunately, Silence was there, so they will not be able to get any of these kills, but Dahaka is able to use his Essence at the last second. Tongue does go out, but it does not connect onto the Kael'thas as intended, but Falstad is going in. The Sonya trying to spear her way in, but getting captured by that Falstad Whirlwind. So they're going to go ahead and confirm this one keep. It looks like top is going to be saved for now. They are chasing with the Haka. He will be able to get away, though. Phoenix is actually used for zoning here. That's going to be a 60-second cooldown burned. Now, Falstad did clean this up in top. They did lose just about the gate, so it doesn't look like it was anything too bad on their side. But with about a 2-level difference, excuse me. This game is just so fast-paced. I'm trying to keep up. This double bruiser comp that they've done on the side of TireFirePyre it works really well, and I think it maybe just works really well on this map because of the fact that these rotations are very short. You can get your team into position very quickly. They clear the camps obviously in seconds, and they also provide extremely good push. Now the coordination level of this is extremely. This has been practiced before. This isn't their first time doing this. Now, instead of Team Lizhorn, they have a 2-level difference. That's still fine. They're still in the same talent tier, but now is the time when they need to take a fight. If they go in for this potential flank, because they do see the enemy team is there, but it looks like the Stitches will be hearthing. The rest of the team will be going in for a potential flank. Well, they are going to catch the Sylvanas, though. She is out of position. They do have the Vala go forward. The Gust is there for the disengage now. The rest of the team does not show right away, so the Kael'thas is coming into this, but they are splitting away from each other. Malthael is getting a ton of damage done with his Tormented Souls, but the Ancestral does come out onto the Sonya. The Wailing Arrow as well to disengage from that. The Dahaka's in the backline trying to kind of poke down some of these members, but unfortunately he split himself away from the team. He will try to Hearth, but unfortunately the Stitches will catch him. He will get the hook. This is probably going to be the Dahaka falling, and that is going to be the end of him. Granted, they did get the keep with that little bit of push, so death for a keep is pretty strong. So the beacon phase will be starting once again. Trying to drink sips of water in between all this. But while we set up for that, we actually have a boss currently happening on the side of Team Lizhorn. Now, this is only scouted up by the Sylvanas. They won't be able to rotate into this in time for the disengage. The Falstad would only have Gust in 3 seconds, so that doesn't work out. They go ahead and capture this, and they give up bottom. Now, top is captured by the Malthael Kael'thas, and actually the boss is rotating up there too, so that worked out really well. Now Stitches and Kael'thas are rotating down with the into the Malfurion. They're going to try, and it looks like they're going to go on to this Falstead, who will have the barrel route. Ooh, it does have the disengage, but the Vala will burst him down just at the last second. Kael'thas using the double flame strike on himself to make sure that that's, you know, clear of any invisible heroes. I don't know why he did that on the beacon. But at the same time, we do have, looks like top being deep pushed. The Malthael is going to just hold this top for as long as he can. He does have Tormented Souls in about 2 seconds. Look to see that being popped. Nope. I was thinking he'd try and pop that at the last second to save himself. Looks like Rhaegar will be able to get out of here just fine. Is there a hook that will be able to catch him for the kill? No, unfortunately, they do have the Sonya leaping in. This is going to be the Sylvanas falling. There's a silence from the Malfurion, and that's going to be the Sonya falling now. And that is 2 very long death timers, especially with this beacon phase happening. That's the worst timing for TireFirePyre. Mostly because of the fact that they are going to be confirming these beacons. They will be getting the Zerg wave pushing into their bottom. Granted, for Team Lizhorn, or excuse me, for TireFirePyre, they do have this gate still, so the Zerg wave will be pushing into that. I don't think they're going to be able to get too much value out of like a aggression onto that gate or anything, because there are 3 members over here, and looks like Falstead's actually going to be flying onto this point to try and contest against the Stitches. Now he's going to gust him away just to kind of delay this, but the hook was too good. But at the same time, we do have the rest of the team rotating in, and this will be a kill onto the Falstead. Now Dahaka did come down here as well, and it looks like they might be able to confirm the kill into him. I don't believe he has any essence because he just came back alive. He should have adaptation, and it will be practice in time. This will be the Zerg wave, but there's the hook from Stitches onto him. They get the slam down, and that is going to be the jam. And so with this Zerg wave pushing up, they are able to clear out these catapults and the majority of this minion wave before it collapses onto the gate. Now, if they can clear out this gate, they can get the full value of those Banelings instead of having them do too much damage to the wall. Because the Banelings do siege quite well, especially with the way they burst. But it looks like, okay, so they're going to have the majority of the Zerg wave pushing onto this keep. And you can see, as I was talking about, how it's just chunking it down. Now the team is there pushing in with it. We do have 2 members still down, 13 seconds on the Falstead, but this is about a 50% Zerg wave coming onto the course. They need to play extremely careful on the side of TireFirePyre. The silence is there from the Malfurion, and it does hit one of the members. Now the Future Bile does come out as well. This is the 20 upgrade. 20s for both teams, but at the same time with this, it looks like it's going to be the first game going over to Team Lizhorn. GG, well played. And welcome back to our second game. We are going into Tomb of the Spider Queen. On the left-hand side, we have Team Lizhorn, and on the right, we have TireFirePyre. I am your caster, Bahamut, and here we go into the draft. We are going to be going into the first ban by Team Lizhorn. Now, Tomb of the Spider Queen being another small map, so these rotations are going to be interesting that people make. Typically, we see a solo laner in bottom with a rotation of the 4-man between top and mid. So look to see the prioritization on a strong solo laner, as well as good wave clear and a strong lineup to do these rotations with. Typically a healer, tank, wave clear, and then maybe some sort of CC or maybe a little bit more of a sieging hero. It'd be interesting. But looks like Ariel is going to be hovered and banned out by Team Lizhorn. I believe last match it was actually the other team banned it out. I believe TireFirePyre banned out the Ariel here. But the other ban on the side of TireFirePyre. The Genji works well here. Uther's pretty strong. Uther wasn't even picked or banned last match. So I don't know if maybe he just isn't a prioritization for these teams, or I'm just not sure yet. But realistically though, I would consider banning out maybe the Kael'thas. That was just so difficult to deal with. As well as he's going to do really well on this map. But they're going to go ahead and ban out the Uther. The reason I was saying Kael'thas was mostly because of the fact that he does have good wave clear. He works well with the rotations. And we saw in the last game that he did do quite well once he started really getting the momentum that he needed. Now, in the late game, they did kind of really take advantage of those late game death timers. They really got to push him with that last Zerg wave. So that's the comeback mechanic in this game. That you expected the other team to completely just. I honestly was thinking that TireFirePyre was going to be pushing in and winning that game, but unfortunately, with that final those late game picks and that Zerg wave, that really just benefited Team Lizhorn, and they went and got the clutch win with that one. But at the same time, so we are going into our first pick here now. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Genji. The poke, the rotations, and the damage he has is pretty good. But they're actually going to go ahead and get the Rhaegar right off the bat. With Ariel banned out. I wonder where they're going to go for their first two picks on the side of TireFirePyre. They've already been throwing me off a little bit with their no, technical main tank comp they did, which was working for quite some time, but just those late game kills that just really kind of flipped the game around on them. Wonder if they're going to play more towards the standardized comp. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and get the Malfurion here. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Stitches. That combination works out really well. The hook into the roots. And that would also lock you in a strong tank, so then you could then utilize your last picks to maybe pick up a Tassadar Vala combination or a Tassadar. Well, actually, Tassadar Lunara would be really good on this map, to be honest. That Tassadar solo lane, but they're actually going to get the Nazeebo for, I believe, the solo lane. Now, Nazeebo is considered to be quite good on this map because of the fact that he does stack very easy. He stacks very well because of the short rotations between the lanes. So he probably wouldn't be in that solo lane, mostly because of the fact that he's going to want to be stacking up as quickly as possible for the Voodoo Ritual. But before we go into our next ban phase, we're going to have another two picks on the side of Team Lizhorn. Now, they had the Rhaegar off the bat, which is interesting to me. They wanted to make sure they got that healer. I'm wondering why. So they're going to go ahead with the Vala Tassadar combination as well. I'm trying to figure out where and what's needed on the side of Team Lizhorn. Like, what would benefit them the most? But ban phase is going over to TireFirePyre first. And so, looking at the comp, they're going to need... I don't think they're going to separate the Tassadar from the Vala. The Rhaegar is going to be with the rest of the team, I would assume. I think maybe just banning out either an Arthas or a Stitches at this point would be really beneficial on the side of TireFirePyre, as well as maybe a lane clear, so like a Gul'dan or a Kael'thas. That's what I'm thinking. Those would be, I think, my optimal bans in this situation. It's going to be the Dahaka. They're going to get rid of that global threat. So on the side of Team Lizhorn, looking at the draft of TireFirePyre, they need a strong tank. Actually, Arthas would be a strong ban here if they don't plan on taking it themselves. I don't think they're going to pick up a secondary healer or anything. I think they'll solo with the Malfurion. They have the Nazeebo. They haven't shown their tank. Now, if they... I highly doubt this. But if they go... Okay. Alright. I was going to say, if they ban out the Greymane, then I'm like, are they really about to choke all without an Ariel? Because if you ban out the Ariel, it completely throws off the enemy team, but the Vala Tassadar would be pretty good. But the Ariel is just so much, it's so much better with that Cho'Gall. So it looks like they're going to go ahead and ban out the Gul'dan here. Now, the Gul'dan's banned out because of the fact that on this... Never mind, Butcher's banned out at the last second. I was thinking it'd be Gul'dan because they're going to want to make sure that on the side of TireFirePyre, they don't have that quick lane clear for these rotations. And even just lane clear in general is really strong on this map. It should be a priority, especially when the Webweaver phase comes up. You want to be able to de-push that as quick as possible. But the stacking from the Butcher... I mean, this is new Butcher. And this is a map where he can stack quite quickly. As well as... there are quite a few squishies on the side of Team Lizhorn, so that Butcher can kind of focus them down. But TireFirePyre, they're going to need to go ahead and pick up at least... I think they're going to be picking up probably a... What would fit best with this would be... Okay. I was going to say Stitches, but the Li Ming is interesting to me. They've got a lot of range at this point, and the Stitches hook is going to be pulling people in, which is going to anti-synergize with the Li Ming. Granted, she could be further back, but... That's interesting. What they're going to be flexing in their last slot with. At the same time, on the side of Team Lizhorn... Honestly, if they picked up a Sonya and an Arthas at this point, that'd be extremely strong. The roots would be beneficial. Then you can combo that into the Force Walls from the Tassadar. You're really just stopping people from getting away. You've got the Slowing Totem at 16. You have the Earthgrass Totem. So, I personally like the Arthas. And then you run the... You get the Kerrigan, actually. I was thinking Sonya as your solo laner. And this creepy Zerg Anub'arak will be coming out as well. And so I like the Anub'arak pick into the Li Ming because of the fact that there is the Nubarian armor at level 1, which mitigates not all of it, but some of the damage that she can provide as long as he's bodying it. Tassadar does have the shields as well. Rhaegar does have some good healing, especially with that secondary health bar he can provide with the Ancestral, so long as it's timed right. As long as it's timed right. The last pick on the side of TireFirePyre, they need some sort of collapsing damage. I honestly think the Greymane in this position is really good. Though, at the same time, Alarak could be quite beneficial for a silence, as well as the telekinesis to maneuver and control people a little bit. We'll see. Looks like it. Alright, it's going to be the Alarak. Interesting. I really like this. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. The Kerrigan is going to be... I think Kerrigan's going to be a little scary in this matchup. I believe I've seen Team Lizhorn run something kind of like this on this map before, but it might... I've never seen it. I think they've done it with like a tankless comp, so it was really interesting. Either way, we're going to our second match of the evening, Team Lizhorn versus TireFirePyre. And on the left, we have Team Lizhorn with Ryanrad on Anub'arak, Paradox on Tassadar, Walljumper on Vala, The Wait on Rhaegar, and Machiavel on Kerrigan. On the right-hand side, we have TireFirePyre with Pink Chocobo on Malfurion, Aura Storm on Alarak, Frosty on Stitches, The Beat or Be the At on Nazebo. I think it's Be the At, maybe. And Veracity on Li Ming. And I'm very interested to see how this matchup is going to be going because of the fact that this is so interesting. There's a lot of good people to solo lane as well as there's a lot of good people for these team fights. The Tassadar Vala combo is going to be so hard to deal with, but at the same time, you've got the silence from the Alarak, you've got the late game spiders from the Nazebo, you've also got the late game damage from the Nazebo, you have the resets from Li Ming, so there's a lot of factors on both of the on both teams that really will lend to an interesting matchup here in our second game.
Prepare yourselves. The battle begins shortly.
Alright, as we go into this matchup, though, we are seeing the slam build out from the Stitches.
Battle begins in
We're having the
10
Alaric going for the
seconds.
extended lightning.
5, 4,
Nothing too out of the ordinary, really.
1.
We do have the spider build out from the Zebo, though. That is the one thing I was curious to see if it was going to be spider build, and of course it is. So we do have a little bit of vision provided by Tassadar here. Looks like he's going to be floating in this bottom area, trying to see if there's any rotations coming out. Li Ming poking with those magic missiles just to see if anyone's in those bushes. Just everyone's playing extremely safe at this point. Nazebo is going to be getting stunned out by the Nubrak right off the bat. There is the Li Ming poking in from the top area, and it looks like we're going to have the Tassadar going into that bottom lane. Now the Alaric is going to get a telekinesis and a silence. This Nubrak is getting zoned by so many. The zombie wall, well, first the entangling roots by the Malfurion as well, and then the zombie wall from the Nazebo. The Alaric moving the Tassadar into safety from the telekinesis, but we're going to be focusing on the top lane as much as possible. This is where all the fun's going to be. We do have this Kerrigan going really just going crazy onto this Nazebo, taking half his health down. Now, the Kerrigan will be getting a lot of damage from that magic orb. We do have the Vala vaulting forward, trying to get a lot of damage out onto that Stitches. It will not be yielding a kill, though. Nazebo already rotating down. Some of the members actually catching him a little out of position. He's getting stunned. Kerrigan does dive forward. Do they get the stun? They get the combo, and that is going to be first kill going over to Team Lizhorn. Looks like Li Ming will be coming down to this lane, trying to get all the gems that she can before they despawn. Looks like Vala will be getting a little bit of damage onto these forts as they're disengaging here. With that, though, we do have a dive and a combo from the Anubrak and the Kerrigan. Unfortunately, though, there was a hook from the Stitches that did pull her out of position, so there was no follow-up on that potential kill. Now, with this wave already being cleared, they're just going to go ahead and rotate back out, get a couple more gems that they might have missed. And with these rotations, looks like TireFirePyre is not having difficulty, but they are a little bit slower on them. Now the Zebo is trying to spread, of course, all of his poison onto every minion, so it does slow it down slightly. But at the same time, we do have a lot of these members. Oh my god, the Kerrigan just taking so much damage from that Li Ming orb, but we do have a small turn-in from the Stitches, just trying to deposit a couple of those gems in the bank, so they don't need to worry about those if they do drop them in a fight. Looks like they're putting a majority of them onto Ryan Red here, so he will be getting a 12 in. Looks like the weight actually bodied some of that damage from that orb, so the Kerrigan can keep turning in. But we do have this Sylvanas, excuse me, this Li Ming. I don't know how I did that. Pushing into this bottom quite hard. Now in bottom lane, just want to take a peek at that really quickly. Looks like we do have the Tassadar going back at this point. Alaric is going to be holding this lane up pretty well by himself. But at this point, I wouldn't be too surprised to see one of the members maybe rotating down there for a potential gank. And that's actually what we're going to be seeing. The Kerrigan is in position for this gank on to hit this Alaric. Now he is in the bush. Tassadar should be able to get the vision, but the Alaric actually does come around the corner. The Kerrigan does jump in. He does move himself out of the way of the combo, but Anubrak does get the stun. There is the follow-up stun from the Kerrigan, and that's going to be 17 gems falling in bottom lane currently. Now, they did give up a little bit of soak for that kill, and they'll just lose a little bit of experience, but fortunately for them, actually, they won't be losing, I don't think, any gems here. There's not enough turn-in. There's not enough for a turn-in on either team yet, with Kerrigan taking a significant amount of damage. Nubrak burrowing in here. There is the roots to zone, but this will be the Stitches falling as well. That is going to be the third kill for Team Lizhorn. Now, do they get the combination onto this? Yes, they do. They get the combo onto this Nazebo, as well as the Anubrak diving in, and that is going to be another kill. And they are just slowly just gaining control over this this matchup. Just over and over again, they keep rotating and just getting these single picks, and that's exactly what they need because the gems are dropped, the experience is given, and as it's starting to really start to add up on the side of Team Lizhorn. Only 6 gems on the side of TireFirePyre, so they won't be having a turn in for quite some bit, but Team Lizhorn, with all their members back and in position, they go ahead, turn in, get the first Web Weaver phase in their favor. Now this is about a 5-minute Web Weaver phase. It's not going to be extremely powerful. Depending on how well the push goes, they could be getting a gate, they could be getting a fort. But we will see as this Li Ming is just in top. The rest of the team is in mid. It looks like he's pushing the Web Weaver there, and Castor will be pushing in bottom now. In top, they're making a lot of headway on this gate, so they're going to be aggressing onto the fort. And the reason that they're doing this top lane first is because of the fact that this is the boss lane. This is the lane that late game could be your win condition. So they're going to go ahead and try and at least get the gate down. Potentially, yeah, they're going to get this as well. They're going to go ahead and rotate into mid at this point, try and get the gate down and just continue to grow this experience game they've started on the side of Team Lizhorn. But at the same time, this doesn't mean that they have 10s just yet, so they still can take a fight, get a couple picks, and start to swing things in their favor on the side of TireFirePyre. But this is going to be the Web Weaver pushing in. It looks like they got the well in top, mid, and they're going to be getting a fort in bottom, actually, because the Tassadar has been pushing onto this lane the entire time. I just have to note that he has the correct banner as well for that, getting that tower. But we are having Sanubrak going a little bit far forward. He does dive as well. There is the combo that did not connect because of the telekinesis, but there is the pull back that doesn't connect either. Fortunately, they are onto this keep gate. They're a little far forward. The rest of the team can rotate into them, but at the same time, they are extremely close to 10s on the side of Team Lizhorn, so they want to be careful. TireFirePyre wants to be extremely careful not to take a fight that they might be just giving 10s and then just feeding into the 10s, and then, you know, it's feeding. But we do have the rest of the team pushing into this mid lane. So with that, this siege camp will be gotten by Team Lizhorn. They're going to go ahead and push up their top, collect as many gems as possible. But on the side of TireFirePyre, they do have enough for turn-in, so look to see Team Lizhorn kind of zone those areas out a little bit. I wouldn't be too surprised to see them try and save their gems, save their final turn-in for the when they have 10s, because if they don't have it, it's going to be extremely difficult. The web wrap does go out onto the 6s. There is no tank currently. They do get the kill onto the Zebo once again. There is the Li Ming hearthing up here, but it looks like they're going to be focused. Nope, they do scout her out. Unfortunately, not in time. But this will be the Stitches falling to the Vala and the Tassadar, who, yep, they're going to go ahead and the gems will not be picked up by the Malfurion, and they're going to go ahead and move on to this boss. They actually have enough for turn-in too, so once they get this boss, they can get a turn-in, and their waves are pretty far pushed forward. Granted, that can change quite quickly due to the fact that the Web Weavers do take quite a bit of time to spawn. But looks like they're going to go ahead and focus on getting that turn-in in. They do need... Okay, they need the... Oh, but they actually turn in bottom, and they just stopped the extra damage coming in really fast with that Alarak turning in bottom lane. So this boss will be pushing into top. They don't really need to worry about this too much because of the fact that this boss will push up the Web Weavers, so they don't... This will be the... You know, the least of their worries, seeing as how mid's going to be pushed up the most. Kerrigan will be pulling in this minion wave. They're going to be clearing this out. They get the Web Weaver quite quickly as well. And bottom is going to be hitting that midpoint. Top is starting to push up a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be trying to maybe go for a potential pick here. They're going to play it safe on the side of Team Lizhorn. Looks like they're going to be going and clearing this out, letting that top push up. The gate should be getting the majority of the damage out. They'll probably be losing the gate here. Rhaegar is... Okay, Rhaegar scouts it out, but I was like, don't run in there just yet. They're gonna hook you and you're gonna get collapsed upon. Speaking on some of these 10 talents, though, we do have the Gorge from the Stitches, so look to see that being a play. Now, The Alarak does telekinesis I believe, the Vala out of position. Kerrigan does go in with her Maelstrom, getting a significant amount of damage out. The Alarak does use his Counter-Strike. He is slowly getting some of these members down, but he is falling himself now. The Stitches is going to fall, as well as the Nazebo, and that is a majority of the gems falling up again. Oh my god, they end up getting 2 kills. This Malfurion is just a murderer, but they end up getting the counter kill, picking up the gems they lost. And it looks like with this, they actually have enough for a turn in and about a half another. Oh my god, Kerrigan. Ooh, Kerrigan almost getting hit by that orb, which would have definitely killed her at that point. So luckily for her, they're going to wait. I believe they're going to wait for the majority of their team to get up, and then they're probably going to be turning in once they make sure that a lot of these waves are pushed in. They do have 13, so they do have the talent tier advantages, which is going to be extremely beneficial to them during this push that they're about to have. The Vala does get the majority of her gems in there. Bottom is being pushed up quite a bit. Top is pushed in, so it looks like they're probably going to... I would assume they're going to focus on mid with this hard camp as well. While this is being spawned, let's just check into some of these questing talents. Looks like Alarak's done with his first level, working through his 4th level. Nazebo's just getting through those... first level stacks of spiders. Tessiter's just over halfway, so we're getting there with some of these questing talents, but look to see a few of these members start to really explode in damage once they're finished up. Alarak being one of them actually is going to be really, really scary, but they get the hook onto the Tessitar, uses the Dimensional Shift to get right out. Nubrak dives right in. He actually gets gorged by the Stitches. The Maelstrom just come out. Is a huge silence from the Malfurion. There is no Ancestral because of that silence. They do lose the Kerrigan. There is a reset, but unfortunately they get the Ancestral out onto the Tacitar, so they don't get that reset for the Li Ming. This Web Weaver will be just, they confirm the fort, they back off, they lose 1 member, so they're just going to play safe at this point. With 13s just at the cusp for TireFirePyre, they're going to make sure that they play safe. They're going to back for a couple members, it looks like, make sure they get full. And then aggress once again and work towards those 16s and push on to those keeps at this point. So it looks like Team Lizhorn is about 13 gems. Yeah, they're about 13 gems off from a turn in, and it looks like TireFirePyre is about, if my math is correct here, 16 gems off. So we are at a race to kind of turn in at this point. Now, Nubrak will try and get these 28, and Li Ming is probably looking to do the same realistically. But they saw each other and said, no thanks, I don't want to be the one who loses that many on the side of my team. Meanwhile, though, in top and bottom, I do want to note that the minion waves have pushed up quite a bit, and they are starting to stack up here. So this is something that they're going to have to respond to on the side of TireFirePyre. But they are going to focus on making sure that they get the majority of these gems in. They don't want to lose them once again. Li Ming will get the poke damage there. Alarak does get a combo out onto the Tassadar. Web Wrap does actually go out onto the Alarak, but he does get zombie walled by his friendly zombie wall. The Counter-Strike is there, but they do get the lockdown, and there's a silence from the Malfurion, which so many of the members won't be able to utilize some of their talents, but that is over, so they have this Kerrigan currently just focusing down the Stitches. They end up getting him and the Malfurion. It looks like with that, they should be able... They're actually 2 gems off. The Nubrak does dive in. With this mini wave, they actually do have enough for a third turn in. Yep. So they have the 61. They go ahead. I was going to say they could go boss, but unfortunately there's like 2 members that are about to be up in about 10 seconds. So this would be just, it would be too long of a delay. They might lose the fight. Granted, they do have a 2-level lead on TireFirePyre. I'm curious to see how they're going to be focusing this push, though. If they're going to be going up through the bottom lane. There is no gate currently out of all of the lanes. It's the, well, it's got the least amount to go up against. So they're going to wait. They time that out, and they're going to go ahead and turn in the rest with the Rhaegar. So with that, though, it looks like they're going to rotate into this mid position. Trying to just see where they're really going in with this. By the way, Nazebo is just like 1 or 2 more tosses away from finishing up his level 1 spider talent. They do get a web wrap onto one of the members of TireFirePyre. It is actually collapsed upon, and that is going to be Malfurion dying right away. Their main source of healing, and this Web Weaver is about 14 minutes, so it is quite strong. It's going to be pushing out of the heat. They all know this. They are down the Malfurion for the next 20 so seconds. But this Web Weaver will be spawning right at the gate. The Anubrak does go in for the dive, does not connect onto anyone, but does get the stun onto the Alarak, buying a few more seconds for this Web Weaver and the Siege Jags to push up onto the keep. It looks like Team Lizhorn is pushing quite hard. I wouldn't be too surprised if they're going to try and end this. Now, the Malfurion is going to be up in a few seconds here, so they need to play extremely safe. They're going to actually rotate into mid and push up with that, trying to confirm a second keep. Top lane, I don't know if they're going to get too much out of that because of the way that the Web Weavers work. They do slowly lose health over time, so by the time that one really gets up to the gate and it gets through the mini wave, they'll probably be losing it. But we do have a dive from the Anubrak onto this Nazebo, who actually, the Stitches gorges the Kerrigan as she has her Maelstrom out, but they do get the kill onto the Nazebo and the Stitches and the Alarak, and with this, it looks like it could be a death march onto the core. We do have the silence from the Malfurion at this point. He is trying to defend this as best as he could. Li Ming is trying to defend as well, but they do get the dive onto the Malfurion. That will be him falling, and this is the core starting to fall very rapidly. With that, I do believe this is going to be GG. Well played. The second game going over to Team Lizhorn.